So does Splatoon 3 live up to its predecessors, and is it worth buying? Those are the big questions that I think a lot of people have, especially coming from Splatoon 2. A lot of people want to know, is it worth going from Splatoon 2 to Splatoon 3? And how is Splatoon 3 in and of itself? Well, those are the questions I'm going to be doing my very best to answer you guys here in this video. This is going to be my Splatoon 3 review on Nintendo Switch. If you guys do enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you guys new, do variety Nintendo-based content here on this channel. And for everything else, Nintendo, you're in the right place. So there's kind of two different angles I want to tackle this on, because on one sense, there's kind of just like taking the game in and of itself, right? Like reviewing the game as its own thing. But then the other side of it is the fact that, yeah, a lot of people are going to be coming from Splatoon 2. And so the other side of the question is it worth the jump from Splatoon 2 to Splatoon 3? Has enough changed to make it worth, your purchase, or should you be waiting for a sale or just not bothering at all? Now, that's kind of the difficult thing, right? Because in one sense, I'm going to be reviewing this game in and of itself, right? So, I'm going to be giving it a certain score. I'm going to be saying, what the experience is in and of itself. But on the other hand, I'm also going to have to address the fact that, if you are coming from Splatoon 2. So the first things first, I'm not going to go into the most intense details, but I'm going to try to cover as much as possible. So if I kind of look off to the side, here and there, I'm doing this on the fly, as I like to do. So what we got first is we got a brand new area, right? We got Splatsville. It's a brand new area. That's something that was introduced in Splatoon 2, a brand new area, which was Inkopolis Square. So you always have a new kind of hub, a destination, if you will. Now within this hub, of course, you have your weapons shop, and you have some other shops that are returning, right, for your headgear, your clothing, your shoes, and all that. Now, things that are pretty much the same is, of course, every piece of gear has abilities and different things like that. You can rank up your abilities, and you get different kinds of abilities that will help you throughout your quest. Now, different pieces of gear might have different amounts of abilities. So some pieces of gear might have one ability that you can unlock, and other ones might have up to like 3+, right? And then, of course, you have your weapons. Now, there is some brand new weapons that have been introduced. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but there is some. Like, there's this one that's basically kind of like an ink katana, if you will, which is really cool. So it has like a slashing kind of mechanic. So that's brand new. And there's some other new weapons as well. So they have introduced new weapons. There's new kind of special abilities, if you will, as well. So kind of when you're inking turf and things like that, you fill up your meter, you click down on the right stick, and then you use kind of like your special, if you will. So there's some new specials that are introduced as well. A lot of the main weapons and specials and abilities and different things like that that you've come to love from Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 are in Splatoon 3. So Splatoon 3 kind of takes everything that was great about 1 and 2 and brings them over to 3, and then adds on to it as well. That's kind of the main theme of this game, is taking kind of meshing everything from 1 and 2, bringing it over, including maps, by the way, and then obviously adding on some new stuff as well. So you're going to have some new maps, you're going to have some new weapons. It's not a drastic amount, it's maybe like a handful of new weapons, new maps, things like that. But again, they're bringing back a lot of fan favorites from the first 2 games, and so that's something to consider as well. A new store is the general store in this square in Splatsville. Now, the cool thing about the general store is what they've kind of done is they brought the concept of a battle pass over, or a season pass, but you don't have to pay for it. That's the interesting thing. So every so often, I forget if it's every month or every couple months or something like that. I'm trying to blank on how often it's refreshed, but every so often they're going to refresh it, and it's called a catalog. Now, in the catalog, as you level up this catalog, you will unlock different things, right? So you'll unlock like different kinds of customization options. You'll unlock a bunch of different things like that. You'll unlock like food tickets. So if you guys played Splatoon 2, basically get these tickets, and these tickets could be used for, some of them will be like double XP, for example. Some of them will be earning more coins or different things like that. So you can earn tickets and things like that from the catalog as well, and also packs of cards and different things like that. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what are the packs of cards? We're gonna get to that in a second, because there's a kind of new little mini game mode, if you will. So we will get to that, but that is one way to earn these packs of cards for this little game mode. Now, in a general shop, you can also buy certain things, just kind of little like cosmetics and things to customize your locker, because this is a brand new feature in Splatoon 3, that you have like a locker and you can find that in the lobby. So the lobby is going to be where you go to load up into multiplayer games, and in the locker, it's just kind of like a cool thing that people can see online. It's just a way to customize and personalize it. You can add like magazines or weapons or shoes or clothes or whatever, different little tidbits like that, different little objects into it. And different things like that. So that's pretty cool. It's just another customization option. Furthermore, with customization is there's a lot more ways to customize your character. So of course, as per usual, you have your weapons and then all your clothes and abilities, but you also have emotes now, which is brand new. But beyond emotes, you also have some other ways to customize your character. So you have this brand new thing. You have it's like a calling card. I forget what they're calling it. I think they're called banners in here. So if you've ever played games like Call of Duty, for example, how you have your calling card, which sits behind your name. So you have that. You have badges, which are basically like stickers or emblems that you can kind of stick on. You can stick up to 3 onto your banner, which sits under your name. And then you have titles. So titles are kind of like, if you played Nintendo Switch Sports, how you have like 2 different titles. So one of them could be like growing youth or growing rookie or professional inkler or inkling or something. I don't know, just random stuff like that, right? So you have like 2 different titles and you kind of mix and match them and different things like that. So you can kind of do that. You have to unlock the titles, of course, just like everything else. But that's just another kind of cool way to customize your online persona and experience and different things like that. So like I was mentioning with the catalog, it goes up to so many different levels. Now the first one that I'm looking at, so this is called the Drizzle season, and this one is going over until November 30th. So that's that's 3 months. So these catalogs are going to last 3 months. I just wanted to mention that really quick because earlier I was mentioning that I wasn't sure how long they last. It's every 3 months you're going to update. And every so many levels, you're going to be able to get different unlocks. Like I said, different abilities, or not abilities, but different unlockable things that like stickers and banners and packs of cards and everything like that, and all that good stuff. So beyond that, speaking of the cards, so if you guys don't know what that is a brand new mini game mode, which again you're going to find kind of hidden in the back area of Splatsville. And it's called Table Turf War. So the idea is it's like taking Turf War, right, which we play in the multiplayer. It's the whole concept of inking as much territory as you can, but it's putting it into card format. So each card is going to have different kinds of they're going to have different squares, right, that they're going to use. And as you're battling, so you're gonna have you can choose your pack, your deck. So you have your starter deck, or you can kind of create your own decks and different things like that. But each deck is gonna have different amount of kind of ink squares, right? And the idea is it's almost like, I guess you could say, Tetris, right? You're trying to kind of like fit all these ink squares together and form as much of coverage as you can, and then in certain instances you're going to be able to use things that are called specials, and that's going to be able to allow you to ink over your opponent's turf. Now again, there's different levels. You start off with like level 1 opponents and different things like that. This is all CPU. I don't think there's any online play, at least not as of the time of recording this, and if there is, I must have missed it. Maybe they'll add that down the line. That would be kind of cool. But as of right now, that is not the case. So again, it's a pretty fun little game mode. It's kind of like a nice little way to switch things up if you're just kind of you want a little change of pace. And again, you get different kind of rewards as you rank up. It could be like I said, food tickets, things like that as well. And it's just kind of like a fun little neat game mode that they've added into Splatoon 3. Again, is it revolutionary? Not necessarily, but is it a fun little kind of extra game mode to dive into for fun? Yeah, I think so. I've had a little bit of fun with it. Again, you might spend hours. You might be someone who really enjoys it and gets super into it and spend a lot of time in this. or you might be someone who just doesn't care about it at all, and that's completely fine as well. So that's something to just keep in mind, that everybody's going to be different. Some people might love it, some people might hate it. One thing I will say is that it'd be really cool if they turned this into an actual sort of card game in real life. I think that would probably work very well, probably better than the in-game, if I do say so myself. Okay, so let's get into the 3 main game modes in Splatoon 3. So we have the story mode, we have Salmon Run, and of course we have online. Now online is going to be split up into 2 sections, right? You're going to have your casual, just kind of turf war, and then you're going to have your ranked play. So let's start off with the story. I don't want to get too far into the story, and I definitely don't want to show you guys any kind of story stuff, just to avoid spoilers. But what you do have is a brand new story. If you played the Splatoon 1 or Splatoon 2, it's kind of very similar in terms of the levels. So it's like you go through these levels and there's different weapons that they give you a choice to kind of use. And as you're going through these levels, you're going to have different kind of challenges, right? And they're really fun. There's a lot of optional levels as well. And you have a new little buddy, a little salmonoid kind of little buddy that helps you out. You can throw him, and that kind of adds a little bit more depth with the puzzles. So if you played Splatoon 1 and 2 and you enjoyed those levels, these levels are definitely at a deeper kind of, I guess, an increased depth. There's, deeper puzzles. Is it super difficult? Not necessarily, but there is, a layer of difficulty there. And it helps you kind of, get used to all these different weapons and things like that. So that's kind of the idea with the story mode. Now, the story itself, is it again revolutionary? Not necessarily. I will say that the story seems a little bit, I guess, unclear until you get to the very, very, very end. So for the most part, you're thinking something else is happening, or you're thinking one thing is happening. You're not sure what's happening. It gets a little confusing at first, but once you get to the end, it all makes sense. I will say that. So stick with it if you do end up playing it. And you also get some cool rewards, like some gear and a special weapon that you can use in multiplayer if you do finish the story mode. And the story mode, I mean, you can get it done in like 2 hours if you don't do every single level, but it can last you up to like maybe 5 to 7 hours if you try to do a complete run, get pretty much everything 100% run. Whatnot. The very ending, I will say, is probably the best ending out of all the different stories. It was a pretty cool ending, in my opinion, just the way it kind of all played out and different things like that. So that was really nice as well. So again, I'm not gonna say too much about the story. Is it super deep and epic? Not necessarily, but it is a lot of fun, and I enjoy the story personally. So the other thing is going to be Salmon Run. Now, a lot of people are wondering, well, what's new or changed with Salmon Run? Well, they did add some new bosses and different things like that. They've also added things like the ability to throw the eggs. So if when you get those big eggs from the boss, instead of having to necessarily go dunk it, which you could dunk it, you can also throw them. And now if you're too far away, it'll throw the egg closer. So if you do have a teammate, you can kind of throw the egg to your teammate's kind of area. So there is some quality of life improvements with Salmon Run from Splatoon 2. But for the most part, it's kind of the same concept. It's kind of the same game, game mode rather. They did, like I said, add all of the weapons that are now in multiplayer. So you're going to be able to rotate through those as well. They've also added, like I said, a bunch of new bosses, and the bosses are really cool. But for the most part, it's a lot of quality of life improvements for the most part. It's, like I said, fundamentally the same game. So there's not a lot more really to say about Salmon Run. It's a very fun game mode. If you never played it in Splatoon 2, you should definitely check it out in Splatoon 3. But like I said, if you are someone who played it a lot in Splatoon 2, you're definitely going to appreciate these quality of life improvements and changes that they have made. But like I said, fundamentally, it's the same game mode, so don't expect anything, drastically different. Moving on from that, we finally conclude with multiplayer. Now, multiplayer is going to be split up, right? So we got technically 3 different things. I'll quickly touch on the Splatfest. They mentioned there's going to be 3 teams now because I don't know what you call them, the Splatoon news crew or whatever, instead of 2 characters, like Callie Marie, for example, or Pearl Marina. Was it Marina, her name? I'm drawing a blank. Anyways, like those characters, there's 3 now. There's 3 characters, and so every Splatfest is going to have 3 different teams rather than 2. So for example, this next first post-launch Splatfest coming up is going to be called Gear versus Grub versus Fun. What would you bring to a deserted island? So there's 3 different colors, and then there's going to be a special mode that sometimes rotates near the end of the Splatfest called Tricolor, where you have 3 different teams going at each other. But that kind of game mode is going to be less frequent. It's going to show up in the Splatfest. but it is something you can encounter. So that's fun with the Splatfest. Nice little cool fun change. Beyond that, for the normal multiplayer, like I said, it's pretty much fundamentally mostly the same. This time you're starting off, every time you die, or when you're at the very beginning of, or I guess Splatted, you don't really die in these games, or when you're starting off a game, you start off kind of like behind your spawn, and you got to kind of like aim where you want to, kind of drop into in your spawn. So you can aim really close, really kind of far back, or kind of more forward. But everything else is pretty much typically the same for the most part. 3-minute games, turf war, ink the most territory. I'll say that the skill-based, or I don't know if it is skill-based matchmaking. I think it is. But the matchmaking system, I don't know if it's because there's more people playing. I don't know if it's just because I'm playing against harder people, because the game determined that, my skill set needs to go against harder people, but it seems a little bit more intense. I'll say that. It seems a little bit more to talk in first person, language. It's a little more sweaty, if you will. It's a little bit more intense. That's not going to be for everybody. Like I said, if you're someone of a lower skill set, you're probably going to be playing against people closer to your skill set, I would hope, and I would assume. That said, I've never been a huge fan of skill-based matchmaking personally. I kind of like when you mix it up a little bit more than that, and not every game feels like super competitive, but hey, it's still a lot of fun. It's Splatoon at its core, and I had an absolute blast with it. Now beyond that, we have ranked play, of course. So ranked play is actually going to be split up into two different sections technically. So in Splatoon 2, now I haven't played ranked in Splatoon 2 for a while. I got up to like S rank in a lot of the game modes. So if I'm wrong about any of this, do please correct me. But from what I recall, each game mode had their own rank, right? So the rank starts, as low as like B minus, and then you try to get all the way up to S rank, S plus, which is like, the highest tier in ranked, right? And there's a points system, right? Well, the way it works in Splatoon 3 is there's two different ways to play it. So you can do Anarchy Battles, that's what they're called, ranked play. So you have Anarchy Battle Open, which is one battle. So all you do is you play one battle, and the game mode for the single playlist, it rotates. So at the time of recording this, for example, the mode is Tower Control. But then you have Anarchy Battle Series, and that's going to be a series. So the way that's going to work is you're going to spend, I think it's like 50 or 55 points. I guess it probably depends maybe what your rank is. You probably spend more points if you're like S rank. And so if you lose all your games, you're going to lose a lot of points and you're going to rank down, right? But the way the series works is that whatever happens first. So it's kind of like if you lose 3 games first, or if you win 5 games first. Now, out of those games, it's going to determine how well you played, and how many of those games you won versus how many you lost, and if you had any losses at all. And depending on that, it's going to give you a chunk of points at the very end of the series. Now, this was a lot of fun for me personally. I did a couple of them. I got up, my rank just slightly. I'm still not super far into ranked yet. I only played a little bit of it. But from what I've played so far, it's a lot of fun. And I like this format. And it seems like your rank is an overall rank now. So it's not a rank per game mode, which seemed a little bit annoying, because like you could work super hard to be S rank and like Tower Control, but then you're like B rank and something else like Clam Blitz or whatever. And it was just like, I feel like this is a better system. Personally, you may think otherwise, right? So in terms of some of the game modes you're going to find in ranked, you're going to have splat zones, which is basically splatter the splat zones with ink, then hold your turf to emerge victorious. I guess you can kind of say it's like domination from like Call of Duty or a different game like that. You have Tower Control, which again, if you played it in a previous game, you might know what that's all about. Whichever team rides the tower to the goal in the enemy base wins. You have Rainmaker, which bring the Rainmaker to the goal in the enemy base to win. So it's like an object that you have to grab and then bring it to their base, and whoever does that first wins. And then Clam Blitz is basically the team that gets the most clams in their enemy's basket wins. You'll need to use a power clam to take down the basket's barrier first, which you get every 10 clams. And that's kind of how that works. So again, there's a few different game modes that you may be familiar with from the previous Splatoon. And beyond that, of course, you have your private battles as well, if you want to do private battles, things like that. What I do like, I will say, is that the lobby kind of like the area where when you're waiting for the match to start is just kind of like a target practice area. So you can go ahead, you can start searching for a match, and you can just kind of ink around and just kind of mess around instead of just sitting there doing absolutely nothing, waiting for the game to load. So that's a nice little addition. And right beside there, like I said, you have your lockers, the locker room, and then you have a little kind of vending machine that you can go play. And it's 5,000 coins for the first play of the day. Then it bumps up to 30,000, which you're probably not going to want to do unless you have a ton. And you'll get some different things like ability chunks or different things, tickets, food tickets, different things like that as well that you can do. And right beside that, you're going to have your food shop, which again, you're going to need to get some tickets. Like I said earlier, there's a bunch of different ways to get these tickets, including, by the way, playing the story. So some of them could be like increases the battle cash by 50%, doubles your battle cash, increases battle XP by 50%, doubles battle XP, doubles battle cash for all teammates, and doubles battle XP for all teammates. That's under the food section. Then, of course, your drink section, you have like gear will gain more XP. And will more likely be to receive a specific ability when it levels up. So that's pretty cool as well. So you got that, and that's all there. So I think that pretty much covers everything, my friends. Again, this has been kind of a little bit of a lengthier review than I thought. For the most part, like I said, it's fundamentally pretty similar to Splatoon 2 in many ways, but there's a lot of welcomed quality of life changes, improvements, new additions. Some people would argue that it kind of feels like maybe like a large DLC in a way, but others would say like no, it feels like its own game. If as far as my personal opinion, I would say this: the game in and of itself is amazing. I mean, I think it's a solid like 9.8 out of 10 if I was to give it a rating. It's pretty up there. I think well, okay, let's give it a 9.5. It's a really fun game. It's really great. It's not perfect, but it's a lot of fun. So in and of itself, it's a 9.5. But if you're coming from Splatoon 2, I'll be honest, if some of these changes and quality of life improvements don't really ring too heavy for you, you might just be better off waiting for a sale or something like that. It's like I said, there are some things that make this game a lot more fun than Splatoon 2, but is it like a drastic improvement? No, not necessarily. It's not drastic. Like I said, you got a new story mode if you are into that, and there are some nice little changes, like I said, with ranked play and some new weapons and some quality of life improvements to Salmon Run and new bosses, different things like that. So there is a lot of great stuff in this game, and I still think it's worth it. But it's up to you to decide if you rather wait for a sale or if you rather get it right away at full price. I think it's a really fun game. Like I said, in and of itself, not thinking about the past games, it's a solid like 9.5 out of 10. Let's go with that. I'll give it a 9.5. So that's my review. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you agree, disagree, if I missed anything, do let us know in the comments below. There's a lot to this game, so I hope I didn't miss anything, but if I did by some chance, please do let us all know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, leave a like, subscribe for more, and until the next one, my friends, game on. Thanks for watching.